Hello, I'm the Doctor. I'm here in this place trying to search out a quantum anomaly of time and space that's giving off a huge dose of tachyon energy, and it's just making this whole thing go amok, and I'm trying to track it down. Its scattering pathway of quantum field energy is out of disarray with the time field, and I need to figure out before things get too hectic, because in 20 years this might not be here the same. This timeline will completely shift if this isn't dealt with, so I'm going to deal with it. Okay, I think it's over here. Okay. As we walk on that path, I'm going to also explain some stuff. So thanks for coming on this journey with me. So, as in the concepts of who, a good thing to start with would be time travel and understanding time travel is possible. It's not just physical time travel, but consciousness. You can travel back and forth in time in your mind, and your emotions, your body, your senses can be in capacity of experience to those. You can either go into a remembering chamber and have it just flow into you and understanding information layers of either your ancestors, your past lives, or things you were connected to, or if you're actually traveling back to that time to see a different place, similar to Game of Thrones Warg vision. This is an absolute ability. It's been taught by many mystery schools for many ages, and anyone can learn it. There's also the concept of TARDIS, which is time and relative distance in space, which is a time machine that allows for a multitude of wonderful experiences and exploration. It's a favorite of mine in modes to travel. They are not just fantasy TARDISes. They're not quite called that, depending on, except for Time Lords. And Time Lords aren't just like one species. That's in the representation of the show, it explains a humanoidish, regenerating form that lives a long ass time, and is potentially immortal. And these Time Lords, in their concept, totally exist. They may not be in the form of the show, but there are humanoid versions of them. They come in many different species, many ancient ones that are way more in experience and more authority, and then the newer ones that come into different species, and the whole species might not be time oriented, but some individuals might discover the secret of time and be able to unlock it, to understand it, to see it, to go deeper, to even travel through that portal. So, one can understand that there are beings seeing the timelines, time cops, all types of reality editors for what happens in the timeline, going forth, back and forward, that are protecting things, making it way better than it could have been, or saving things without needing a thank you. So, getting into the wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. There's a whole bunch of time physics, temporal physics to go into understanding time and space as we know it. TARDISes in the show, it's just a fancy way of saying spaceship that can shapeshift and has infinite space on the inside. So it's bigger on the inside than the outside, and can shift to camouflage to the situation so that somebody can be an advanced, well orchestrated time traveler without discovery, with secret missions similar to being like a spy, 007, and helping things along and not interfering with things that they're not allowed to, and being able to sense what is which and when they're crossing the line and how that'll affect the future. Scenarios that will come down on them in paradoxes and drama and things needing remedy and wounds if they don't go along with it. Such as negative time travelers, which totally exists too. The concept of the master, which exists, but it's in a state of interesting chaos that is seeing what it can be in the future and the transmutation of that and what it's allowed to do, as well as the negative time travelers that don't need to exist, that really are a problem and need to be resolved because they're stealing the authority and they don't earn it, because time travel abilities is very sought after and you have to protect it. If you don't, you lose it. So, that being said, if you want to pursue this understanding and this knowledge and go down this path, know you have to be diligent and protect your abilities, otherwise you won't have them anymore. And if you time travel back in the past and you suddenly lose your authority based on fucking things up, then shit out of luck. Sorry. Oh, okay. I think we found it. Okay. What is this thing? Whoa! Readings off the charts with this. It's a stone that's in a square cylinder that holds water. What? Well, don't drink it. This must be an interesting place. Literally in the middle of nowhere, in the forest. It looks really old too, and it doesn't seem to have purpose besides holding. It doesn't seem to have purpose besides holding water, but for some reason in a square shape. It's in a rock in the middle of the ground that goes deeper. It seems weird. Well, I'm going to resolve this time paradox and see if that heals the timeline. Okay, found out what's going on here. So this is apparently a ancient burial mound for Gigantopithecus, or giants. This one's an ancient, and there's a ceremonial altar here that's like survived history. It's like a pool of water in a stone. Literally square, and it's deep underground, so it wasn't moved here and it's not recent, and there's no other construction around of any type, so to make it like recent. So if you come across one of these mounds type of things, be careful. They are like this for a reason. They don't want to be disturbed usually. And by disturb, I'm not going to disturb it. I'm going to help it. When I was tracking this temporal anomaly in the residual field of time of what's happened here, it seems to have been a lot of things. It was held sacred by the natives that have many stone walls around here, and place of ceremony and dream interaction. This technology of the rock seems to be very highly oriented towards dreams and dream realms, and have like a whole city above and below interacting with the dreams, which is interesting to me. And like doorways hidden within it that lead to realms of worlds in the dream if you were to visit with your dreaming body and have that control and lucidity. Not saying you should go here, because this one's particularly haunted, and that's why it's going off. It seems to have a giant about 19 feet tall under it. If you don't know giants exist, please research it. I'm not gonna be the one to just disclose that to you and have to explain myself fully on. There's like newspaper articles for days about this. The Smithsonian has covered it up. They have bones in their basements that they keep taking from different sites and covering up because they want to maintain a narrative with scientific history and what we are and how many hominids are on this planet, even though there's so many and it's unaccounted for. And it's not just a line of one evolution. There's all different types. The story of evolution is so riddled with like falsities. It can be picked apart so very easily, especially if you can read the DNA. It doesn't make sense at all. But if you understand that there are many different species, many different types of humanoids, and them branching off from each other, and evolution does exist, but it doesn't exactly explain everything, how the Darwinism and how the scientism takes it and then turns it into their own way to keep back certain amounts of people coming to their own power, realizing the world is much greater, mysterious, or undiscovered things to explore than we think. But they want to keep us in this little box. So here's a way to get out of that box. As an example, going down that rabbit hole, giants exist. There's many different forms. There's some with black or red hair that have been described, some with 2 rows of teeth, some as being cannibals, some royal families. There were native histories of them meeting the giants and going through treaties with the 5 nations and like the Lenape tribe with the original people. It goes back to Delaware, which I'm from. Which goes into a lot of things of why I was born there, interestingly. And some evidence, giant stone, axe heads, spears, bones, things that people find, excavations, things you could probably find in one of these places, but you'll get haunted and cursed if you take them without resolving a big part of like why they're there and what the place of power is for. As for hominids, there are many, like Homo florensis found in New Zealand and other places is a hobbit. It's a very short person. And then there's the giants that are in fossil records but are covered up very strongly, and to the point where people have died because of it, and it's pretty offensive if you honestly think they don't exist and don't research to the degree where you find that there are people that have died trying to bring this content out, which is interesting. Why the heck would they want to keep that covered up to that level where they're willing to kill people? It's interesting. But anyway, there's also Homo capensis and many other hominids in which there's like branching out of many different types of skin, DNA technologies on this planet, and are housed in our genetic for us to unlock and know about. Some that have gone extinct or moved to other places or realms or deep underground. And think of this. If you think elves don't exist, if you found their bones, you wouldn't find their ears. They would look just like us. Lord of the Rings concept for higher human concept of Nordic lineages and from other realms and interesting things that find their way into reality mythos. Anyway, with this place I pick up, it's a dream place of power, and has to do with a burial place for one giant that was buried by 2 other giants that was apparently very powerfully psionic in their form of shamanism, which is still, at the time, I'm getting. There are some peaceful giants, but a lot towards the end of their coming to extinction on the surface, they were mostly negative and cannibalistic and did whatever they want and just had the power to really just screw things over and had a big psionic reach. So this one does, and even after death it has the ability to do that. And that also gets into like anchorage and fracturedness and trauma and things anchoring beings to land, like ghosts. This giant has not moved on. It is being anchored to the land and is an interesting form of energy harvesting for the whole state, where it goes around and sets up things to where it comes back to its place of burying, and it affects everything. So I'm going to help resolve this situation with peace and bring this giant to healing with the native tribes and the remedy, because they've been calling me to resolve giant situations where they're in negative form. And the natives pretty much have been on their own, and some things in the spirit world, with trying to hold back their influence from lowering the energetic state of the environment, the state, the country, or whatever, wherever they are, because they were all over before. So you're gonna find them wherever you are. It's just they are still rare. It's just hard to tell where they are. It's a big mound usually, and there'll be like stones all around, and there might be an interesting feel about the place. Even as I'm getting it now, it's an interesting feeling. So it's calling me to resolve this, help heal this giant out of this separation consciousness, out of this destructive mindset, feeding on the rest of the state. And the native spirits would like to see that it's resolved back and forward in time to heal this temporal distortion, so that the timeline can be made better, and the forest flourish, and the place of power, the dreams open up again as a flower that can grace the dream worlds of the people around it. So I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you in a bit. Becoming psychic, psionic, and having many abilities and never being bored sounds interesting and fun to you? Please contact me at psionicleague.com or Silver Cord Spiritual Science, YouTube, or also on Facebook, and we can absolutely teach you how to do this yourself and become incredibly empowered for the future to help the next generations. We need so many on this planet to help. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe for more content. And if you like being with the doctor, let me know and I'll come out in more shows. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. I gotta get back to the TARDIS. See you later.